shooting certainly has a lot of us, both riders and drivers, thinking about the safety of these rideshare services.
So on one hand, the drivers are screened. Now, the passengers are not, so really passengers could be anybody. So many drivers do arm themselves just in case.
On the other hand, we've shared many stories about dangerous drivers. There are multiple perspectives on this big issue.
So tonight, Denver 7's Russell Haythorne is taking a 360 look at the question, should your Uber driver be armed?
Our caller's an Uber driver stating he just shot a passenger.
The driver in this case was never supposed to have a gun. Uber used to allow concealed carry weapons, but that policy changed. Uber now prohibits riders and drivers from carrying firearms of any kind. Lyft has always prohibited firearms unless you're a law enforcement agent. The shooting Friday morning certainly has both riders and drivers alarmed.
It was, really disappointing and unfortunate,
That's really sad that something so casual could turn into something violent.
In the court of public opinion, riders expressed mixed feelings when we asked if drivers should be armed.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, I don't.
Other riders say drivers should be allowed a measure of protection.
No, I'm kind of for responsible gun ownership and I guess knife ownership as well. You should be allowed to have it because, as an Uber driver, I'd imagine for your own protection as well.
I think there definitely needs to be a discussion.
Giving this discussion context, we hopped in an Uber today and took a ride with driver Mike Baker. He doesn't understand how the situation escalated so fast.
How does it get to that point? Hey, nice to meet you, to bang, you're dead.
In 2 years as an Uber driver, Mike has given 3,000 rides and says he's only had one bad experience.
He's like, I don't mean to be a jerk. I'm like, well, then don't be a jerk. It's so much easier to be nice to people.
There are more sides to this debate. Just last month, my colleague Ryan Luby uncovered many dangers of ride sharing, including 20 reported cases of sexual assault in Denver alone.
Start with 18 reported claims against the drivers. Among them, in 2016, a woman says a driver kissed her and forced her to grab his genitalia.
Rider Emily Wright says as a female, she never rides alone.
For sure, I usually don't go without somebody else. That buddy system is ingrained from college, I guess.
And still others say they've never had an issue.
I've never had a bad Uber experience ever.
Another perspective is about personal comfort for both riders and drivers. Both Uber and Lyft allow riders to sit in the front passenger seat. There are no rules, but as a courtesy to your driver, like Ken, it's probably a good idea to ask, especially if it's late at night. Ken Blanco drives for Lyft. He's worried about how this might impact his business.
People are going to think, how are Uber drivers, any different than Lyft drivers?
But Uber driver Mike Baker says every job has its dangers.
Just like what you do for a living. You might do an interview with somebody. They might be the greatest thing, and then the next guy comes along and he wants to beat you on live television.
A lot to consider in a world where convenience often trumps concern.
It's kind of crazy because you get in an Uber and feel like, you're safe, and especially if you're out of town.
Uber's gun ban has been challenged in court before. Last August, a driver in Florida filed suit against the rideshare giant, claiming the ban violated his right to bear arms in a motor vehicle. But the driver never actually carried a firearm in his car, so the judge threw out the case on a technicality, saying it was all theoretical and lacked concrete merit. And in Shannon, the court says it had insufficient information on how Uber would enforce its own policy.
Wait, so what does that mean?
So this means basically, according to many legal experts, that the door is wide open to future lawsuits from drivers who are carrying firearms.
Wow.
And after this morning, just the
Fascinating.
beginning of this. Thank you. And we know a lot of you have a lot to say on this, and we are listening, I promise you. And share your thoughts with us. Email us 360@thedenverchannel.com, or you can send us a message on Facebook or Twitter.